can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
I'm Jim Rosetti, co-host of the Integrity Investing podcast series. And as the song says, I can see clearly now. And as we explore the two entirely different worlds of investing, default versus scientific, you will see clearly which are the two worlds that you're living in right now. This series of podcasts will open your eyes and enable you to enjoy real peace of mind, as well as clearly understand your true purpose for money, and to empower and equip you and your family to live the life you love and deserve. And now, here's your host of Integrity Investing, author, entrepreneur, CEO of Veritas Investment Services, certified financial educator, financial coach, and host of this podcast series, Margaret Wittkopp.
Up ahead, we pick up the conversation discussing the traditional and scientific views of investing.
I was going to mention, and it's bringing me to subjects that were brought up at this event and clearly explained so well. A word that popped up is an acronym. I think it's called GIPS, GIPS.
Yep. You were going right where I was going. Very good. Now our brains are working together. Good. Yes. Let me
Maybe you can explain that for us. So
sure, and the importance of it.
Mhm.
GIPS is an acronym, like you said. It stands for Global Investment Performance Standards. The economic/investment industry created a methodology of measuring performance of a portfolio over time. So it's a big, long, complicated method or formula. And the irony of this is that even though this exists, people or firms will put out that they have returns. They put their returns out, but it doesn't really have much meaning. What GIPS does, if the firm you're working with actually provides you with actual GIPS audited, and that audited is important too, because it shows that a third party accounting firm actually verifies that these returns were the actual returns received by the investor. Not some made-up time frame, not some made-up glib, blah, blah, blah. You know, what you see on Morningstar ratings are not necessarily what people got.
Right.
They're kind of fictitious, and they're misleading. Again, it goes back to that world of, being deceived, and,
it's based, there's substance based there. I mean, there's audited, and the auditings of these returns are done by third parties. They're not, so it's outside firms that are verifying this.
Exactly. And when we, I think one of the ironic things is that in the investment world, very few firms actually go through that. I think it's only like 5%.
Right.
It's a ridiculously low number of firms that actually live up to that. It's costly. It's time. Time takes a lot of time to make sure that you're gathering the information, and then you have it audited, and all of that. That costs money. So a lot of firms,
it's not mandated by the Security Exchange Commission, though, is it? Okay.
No, isn't that something?
Okay.
Oh boy, if it was. It would be a topsy-turvy. The world of investing would, I'm not sure what they would do, but they would really be in a world of hurt.
One of the things that happened in this
Us, we
two-day
do.
event, and I keep referring to the event because it's so recent that I just came out of it, and
Yeah.
it was just brought everything back to mind again. Why is it that if you ask people about stocks, when it comes to picking stocks, there's about 5 stocks they can think of off the top of their head. The big ones, the Teslas, the Facebook, the Google, whatever. I think what's another one? Microsoft is a big one,
Microsoft,
stuff
Apple.
like that.
I got
Apple,
it.
yeah, the big
Well,
guys,
yeah.
and that's maybe 5 or 6 that only. And there's 20-some thousand other stocks that outperformed or did things much
So
better
if
than.
you're talking about just the everyday folks like
Yeah,
ourselves, and not an investment professional, even investment professionals, I think would get caught up in that. It's called familiarity bias.
yeah.
It's familiar,
Herding bias.
hurting bias. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanting to, fit in,
Yeah.
wanting to take advantage of something. They are not necessarily the highest performers. That we saw as well. The highest performers, there might be some obscure little company that you never heard of.
I
But
know.
still, people are caught up in the world of what's in front of them, what's on TV, what's what they're hearing about. That's part of it. And the other big area is familiarity. When they're familiar with a company, they work for a particular company, they take part in their stock options for part of their investing. Maybe it's in their retirement plan. This is another way that people get caught up in doing what are really not good behaviors. You don't, what we call stock picking that particular company, that particular stock, based on the idea that it's going to do better than everything else.
Well, do you think it has something to do with, where people keep hearing, how often do you hear people say, if I only would have invested in Amazon 15 years ago, I could have bought it so cheap and I'd have been rich today.
Yeah,
and I think those kind of cliches may have something to do with it too.
The world of, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yeah, you got to get that out of your world. Today is what you have, and tomorrow is an unspoken word. So take the time to find out what you should do and move forward. Get the woulda, coulda, shoulda out of your life. And
I keep referring to the.
Just be grateful. Grateful.
I hope you don't mind that I keep referring to the 2-day event because it was so. You talked about the word transforming. And at the conclusion of the second day, it was amazing how people went, I am so glad I was invited to this event. I was so glad. I learned things I would have never even thought in my wildest dream. It was just amazing.
Right. One thing people need to know is that you can't just come to it.
Right.
You really have to be set up properly to get what you need.
There's no charge for it, but you need to be prepped.
Yes. There's no charge. We don't charge for educating people. We want people to be educated, whether they work with us or work with someone else. That isn't the point. The point is to help transform people in their experience with money and investing, and give them a realistic look at themselves too. The human behavioral side is equally scientific and equally good or bad for them. I mean, depending on how they're looking at the world and what their own mindset is. And it gives them an opportunity to go, oh yeah, my great-grandmother always said, and that came down to her mother, and her mother said, and or her father said, and or whatever, we carry forward into the future histories of and how we look at money, whether we live paycheck to paycheck and all of that. And if you want to change that, you have to make a concerted effort to change it. You really do. So
that came up,
that's what
and
we're looking for.
some of the no talk rule came up.
Yeah.
Which
People
I
don't
was
even have to
raised with.
talk about it. You get some of this by osmosis, just by growing up in it.
Yeah.
Like exactly. So it's really very transformational, that 2-day event. You're absolutely right, and we would welcome anyone listening to this podcast, if they want to know more about it, to certainly give us a call or look us up somehow, and make sure that they can
They can be a part of one of those. They're only done, I think, 4 or 5 times a year is when they
well,
occur.
actually,
Yeah.
there are firms like Veritas being trained in doing these, and so they're going to take off. I mean, we're
They're
starting
out there,
to do
yeah.
them all over the country.
Right.
So I'll be doing one up, in the Midwest, in Wisconsin, probably this summer.
Right.
So this is just something that you just got to have your antennae open and hear, or call our office, and glad to give you news, find a connection for you in your neck of the woods.
A couple of terms that I heard used, and I've heard them outside of the investing world too, but they were used in the investing world in the event, is cognitive dissonance.
Oh, yeah.
I
Come
wanted to see
prepared
if
to
you
have
could.
some cognitive dissonance. What is cognitive dissonance?
Yeah.
It's when you get information that makes you go, "What? I thought it was that way. I thought this, but you're telling me that, and it doesn't fit." It's like when you try to put a square peg in a round hole. It's presenting you with information, facts that don't match up with that world you've been living in. And believe me, people should have an experience of cognitive dissonance when they come to this 2-day event, because they've been living in this world. It's like they're like fish swimming in water, right?
Right.
Polluted water, basically. Anyway, they're swimming in this water, and they want to learn how to fly. Well, you're not going to go from fish to flying in areas.
I think that's the folks that might be in that, what we are calling the default world right now. And
that's most people.
Yeah.
Let's make that really clear. I mean, most people are not living in a world based on scientific evidence.
Yeah. So they get up against this world of scientific evidence, and suddenly there's a cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
And whoa, wait a minute. But at the end of that 2-day event, there was a lot of ahas that I saw, that just people came to that. Yeah.
Well, and not only that, we do an after. That's why I say this event is not just something you come to like your typical seminar, workshop, whatever, or we actually prepare you, and then afterwards we will have a second meeting, and at that meeting we connect the dots with your own investments. So we call that an MRI.
Right.
We look deep into the portfolio. We do the analysis. We have software that helps us to pull apart and match it up against the academics and see where you land, see where you are. And then now you've got a clear choice. Now you can really have some power in your investing life, or how your money is handled, because now you get to choose what measurements you're going to use, how you're going to measure the success or failure of a portfolio, what is your expectations. We go through all of that, and people can walk away with a very a feeling of empowerment, that they've actually now understand what they're doing with their money.
Yeah, I saw that.
And by understanding what they're doing with their money, that should lead them. It should lead them to the ability to have some peace of mind.
Right.
It doesn't come automatically, but it may take over time. They should be able to develop that. Thank you.
Another thing that came up, and I thought is this idea of market timing. If I get in right now, the getting's good, and then I'll get out as soon as the heat things cool down and settle down. So in and out of the market. Do I stay in? Do I run for the hills, get all my money out and put it in cash? So
Yeah. Well, that's another one of those signs that you're speculating and gambling.
Sure.
Number two, and there's a lot that's wrong with that. And
Right.
many professionals have said that's a loser's game. Trying to time the market, or even, and here's often what it looks like. Well, I think it's, I shouldn't be in international right now. There's wars over there, right? So let's not have any international. That's a really foolish thought.
Right.
What you want to be doing is putting your money globally around the world in all of the asset classes that are dissimilar correlations, so that you can maximize your return over time. Now, over time even can be misleading. Over time might mean 3-5 years. It might be a short time. Well, then we take some of the volatility out of it, and there's a method of doing that, and that's also in your mix of assets. And then, or it could mean 20 years or more, depending on where you are in life or what this money is going to do for you or not.
Right.
That's what you want to, how you want to look at your investing.
It's our pleasure to help peel back the curtain and expose you to another side of the financial world. Thank you for watching.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright